So I have a friend who recently became a believer in Jesus Christ. And I say that because everybody doesn't know what it means to be a believer. So, but yeah, a friend that recently became a believer. And so they're always asking me like Bible questions, and they love the Lord, and, you know, they're just exploring things. But there will be these moments where I freak out a little bit because they're doubting, you know, they're like, and it's tough because I feel like I know the answer, but I'm not able to exegetically explain it to them or like have like break it down. But I'm tempted to say, you just got to have faith. You just got to, just got to have faith and not doubt. But I also know that that's not, there's nothing wrong with them asking these questions. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, doubts is, Jen, you've heard of the more cultural term, although it's not a new phenomenon, but I guess it's contextualized within this term, deconstruction,
yes.
Right?
Deconstruction movement.
So, exactly, deconstruction movement, and that refers to a lot of Christians questioning some of their beliefs, and some of them actually leaving the faith. Now, I would say, to your point, Jen, about doubt, deconstruction is often rooted in doubt. And the reason why I think that we see a lot of people that are leaving the faith, and we have this term called ex-evangelicals and all these different types of ways of describing people exiting this exodus from the Christian faith, is because they haven't appropriately diagnosed their doubts. It's not only that they're experiencing doubt, but many people don't realize there's different types of doubts that we can have, and then understanding that actually helps us to better deal with those differences. So one of my former professors, his name was Dr. Gary Habermas, he's well known for his work on the historicity of the resurrection. In fact, he has this way that he talks about it called the minimal facts theory. And I think I've talked about that in a previous episode. Check out our episode on the resurrection to learn more about that. But a lot of people don't know that he's actually done quite a bit of work around doubt and Christians. And he looks at doubt in these three categories of factual, emotional, and volitional. And so factual doubt deals with the evidences of the faith, how we might be struggling with believing about the validity of the Bible, or the historicity of the resurrection, or, was Jesus an actual historical person? All the different types of facts and evidences around the Christian faith. That is what we find within factual doubt. So the best way to deal with that, of course, is to do our due diligence in looking for resources and exploring these things in community with others. And one thing that I should have said earlier, I'll go ahead and say now, is that the church should be the best place or the most reliable place for us to explore and express the doubts that we experience. If the church isn't the place where we can appropriately explore those, then we'll be exploring them through social media platforms, or through who knows, whatever other sources, Google, right? Whatever other sources that we may come upon. So the church should always be the best place for us to explore those. With factual doubt, one thing to remember is that the Apostle Paul in Acts chapter 17, he has this. He was examining the scriptures daily with this group of folks called the Bereans. And in this section of scripture, he uses this phrase of noble character to describe them. And the reason that he said that about them is because they didn't just take what he said and believed it, but they examined scriptures themselves. They did their own investigative work and came to believe on their own. And so I would encourage you, if you're experiencing doubts around the facts or evidences of the faith, be a Berean. Do your best to look into it. Do it in community with others. Perhaps you know some people who have done a lot of research in this area and in certain areas, or look for resources where you could more explore these issues in more detail. Now, next we have emotional doubt. Now, this more deals with our feelings. Now, this can be a little bit tricky because, as Scripture says, our heart is deceitful. And so we'll often think that it's a factual doubt, but it's actually an emotional doubt. Now, the way we can adjudicate between these two is to ask ourselves, is my doubt in this issue about my feelings about this issue, or is it about the facts around the issue? In other words, am I uncomfortable with the facts around the issue, or do I not believe the evidence of the issue itself? If it's the latter, doubting the issue or the facts or the evidences, again, that's factual doubt. But if our doubt is rooted in our feelings about the facts of whatever the issue is, then we know that it's more within the category of emotional doubt. So the best way to then deal with this is to talk with someone who you know and who you trust about maybe about why you're feeling a certain way. And then to ask yourself too, do my feelings, although our feelings are important, God gave us feelings, and feelings are expressed all throughout the Psalms, are our feelings actually what is the final arbiter of what is actually true and real? Okay? If that's, however we answer that question will then impact how we move forward with our doubt. Lastly here, we have volitional doubt. Volitional doubt focuses more on doubts emerging from our own individual choices. So this is often, we see this within unconfessed sin or ongoing sin, and oftentimes just a flat out lack of desire to live the Christian life. So it's not that we're questioning the evidences of the faith or our feelings about the faith. It's just that, hey, I choose to do what I want to do, and my desire to live as I want to live is actually causing me to doubt what I believe. Now, this can be the hardest sometimes to diagnose on our own. We need someone from outside to kind of come in and help us with that. But if we do know that we're not living a Christian life and we're experiencing doubt, then it's important for us to think, well, is my doubt really more rooted in my own volition or my own choices? If so, we have to be honest and ask ourselves, do I really believe, am I really a follower of Christ? And if I'm struggling with that answer, then, talk to your pastor, talk to loved ones in your community, and then, proceed accordingly from there. I know that there's some folks who are watching this, and perhaps you're doubting, or perhaps you're in conversation with someone who's doubting as well. Let me tell you that your doubts are not a betrayal of your family, not a betrayal of your friends, and not a betrayal of the God who you love and serve. If Jesus didn't tell Thomas to flee when he asked his questions, he won't abandon you either. But we do have to do our part. We have to be honest and appropriately diagnose our doubts, because your doubts can drive you to a stronger faith, or your faith can drown in your doubts. Now, many of us are trying to navigate this issue, and we find ourselves in the same position as the father who had a demon-possessed son, and it was the occasion when Jesus was helping him, and the father exclaims, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." I think that's the prayer that we should be asking ourselves to be fulfilled in the cases where we're experiencing doubt.
Thanks for watching Everyday Theology. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.